Hello, I'm Sarah Vanover. I'm the director for the Division of Child Care in Frankfort, Kentucky. In the past several days, the Division of Child Care has received a lot of questions regarding the new CCAP reimbursement update. So I wanted to come to you today to help answer some of those questions. Recently, the Child Care Assistance Program reimbursement rate has increased from the 40th percentile to the 80th percentile. This will go in effect on October 1st, and so the first time that you will be billing on these new rates is November 1st. With this reimbursement, I want to be able to answer a few of your questions. First of all, when these rates increase, it does not mean that there's a mandatory tuition increase for your child care programs. Based on your center, your clientele, and your needs in order to keep your center open, you decide the tuition of your program. It can be below the rates for the child care reimbursement, it can be above it, or it can sit right at it. It depends on what your needs are for an individual program. The state does not set the rates for your program. Now, the goal of this increase is not for everyone to increase their rates. The goal is to benefit the children enrolled in the child care subsidy system. When we were reimbursing these children at the 40th percentile, that means that only 40% of the child care programs in Kentucky would be fully covered by the subsidy program. So children were limited in which centers they could select. With an increase to the 80th percentile, children can now choose between 80% of the centers and be fully covered with those rates. Now, there are a few reminders that you have to keep in mind when you set a tuition rate if you choose to increase. First of all, children who are on CCAP and children who are not on CCAP must be charged the same rate. Now, that does not mean that you have to raise your rate to everybody being charged $249 per week or whatever the maximum rate is for your county. It just means that if you're going to charge $180 tuition, then that is the same rate for both. You cannot bill tuition paying children $180 and then bill a higher rate for the subsidy reimbursement children. When you look and see what your families can afford, typically tuition rates are set by the children that are not on subsidy. We have 83% of the children in the state that are enrolled in child care whose parents or families are paying tuition for their child care. That's the vast majority of families. Many middle class families that cannot pay a high tuition out of pocket. Although the subsidy rates were increased, parents and families that are paying out of their own pockets did not get a raise so that they can increase tuition. So please keep that in mind. I'd also like to remind everyone that these rates, this higher reimbursement rate is being funded through the American Rescue Plan, which is temporary for the next 2 to 3 years. We're using those funds to help our families and to help support centers, but this probably is not a permanent thing. We'll wait and see if additional federal funding comes from the federal government as they review infrastructure plans for the future. Child care dollars are being considered, but there's no way to guarantee that the reimbursement rate will be able to stay at the 80th percentile as we look into the future. You don't want to increase your rates too high and then not be able to sustain it in the long term. And you don't want to make it so that your rate is so high that your private pay families have to leave to find less expensive child care. Again, really, this is a personal decision where you have to think, what are my expenses? What do I pay my staff? What do I need to meet my bills? And then how much can my parents afford? And please use those factors to consider setting your tuition rate for the future. If you have additional questions, you can reach out to the Division of Child Care and to your Child Care Aware coach or to the Family Child Care Network in your area. Thank you so much. Have a great day.